Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and I am joined here by my partners in crime, Heath Goldman, superfan, and Jake Circus from the Jake Circus podcast. And this is the Week 12 preview of Jungle Talk. Who dat? Yeah, all right. So, obviously, before we forget, please, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. And Jake, tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. That's at Jake Circus. That's where most of my Bengals stuff and gambling stuff goes. And then my weekly podcast, do 1 to 2 episodes per week. It's on Spotify, just the Jake Circus podcast. But I will say that this is a extremely big week for the Bengals, and I'm excited to be back to talk about this team that I have disliked for like 3 years now, and they just continue to play good football. I don't know how.
Well,
But we'll
that's
talk about it.
because it's a new era. It's a new day. Come on. It's not the same old Bengals.
No,
So,
I'm talking about Tennessee.
you're talking about Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know what? I have a lot of respect, and we'll start with, we're going to do what we usually do. We're going to talk about things we're not feeling good about, things we're feeling good about. Mike Vrabel, their defense. This is a well-coached team. Mike Vrabel finds ways to win. He's creative. He takes chances at the right times. He's always a concern in line. He'll keep the game close.
Hey, I know this is a Bengals show, but I will tell you, before the Bengal fans put on their jerseys on Sunday, they're going to be putting on this jersey on Saturday. And
Okay.
Mike Vrabel being a Buckeye, I hope he's happy on Saturday. I hope he's crying on Sunday. It's all about the Buckeyes on Saturday and the Bengals on Sunday. So that's my input for to get the show started.
Okay, well, there you go. Thank you for the Ohio State input. I'm an SC guy, so fight on.
Wait,
so
you do realize that Cincinnati is in Ohio, right? That the Ohio State
I do
has a
understand
little
that.
something to go with it. Okay, just checking.
We have a lot of fans that are not Ohio State fans. So, but you do reach a segment. There is a group of Bengal fans that are devastated when Ohio State doesn't win. I am not one of them, but I will say this, because we're going to cover a little gambling on the show like we usually do. I did tease Ohio State this week. I do like them to win. So,
I'm not even teasing them. I'm just going balls to the wall. They're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him.
Hey, your mouth to God's ears.
So let's circle back to the Vrabel. So that's my biggest concern is Vrabel, the defense. You know, this team got gashed for like 258 yards or something when they played the Giants. And since then, they've only allowed one rushing touchdown. So that was a wake-up call, and the defense is playing a lot better.
Well, so Mark, it's a good thing because we don't run the ball very well. So I'm not sure that matters.
We were starting to, and it's important that we do, show some kind of run presence, because that's how the play action works, and they don't tee off on Joe. So it's important that we establish something. The other thing I'm not feeling good about is Mixon's in concussion protocol. We don't even know if we're going to have him. So
it's all about.
Have you heard anything, Jake?
P-Ride.
So the concussion protocols is stagnant. So we're not going to know more probably until later in the week, Friday, Saturday. Once they, I think, do the walkthroughs when they get into Tennessee is kind of when they'll announce Mixon's status. But I don't think he's practicing at all. So expect to see Pirine, I would say. But as far, like, it would suck to not have Mixon. But Brian Callahan was talking about how they've moved from a wide zone running scheme to a gap scheme, and it's been more effective in terms of running from shotgun. But I'm going to say this. If the Bengals come out here with the game plan of last week or like last year's Denver game, like they normally do against teams like this, like trying to win ugly, like Zach Taylor said, we knew we were probably going to have to win ugly, and thank goodness the offense turned it on in the second half last week. But they're going to be in trouble if that's the case, if that's what they come out in, because they're not going to beat Tennessee that way. They will not replicate how they beat Tennessee last year. It's just not going to happen. They are much more talented up front, and they are a little bit older now in the secondary. But this is a very good defense, and the Bengals need to win with their strengths, and that is just a full-on air assault, because they need to come out and attack these corners, because these corners aren't very good. It's the clear weak spot in the secondary. The Titans do have an all-pro safety and Kevin Byard. He's a really good player, but the corners are undisciplined, and that's the the negative of this defense. So that's where the Bengals need to win this game, and it's got to start early. That they cannot play from behind in this game. It just I know we love the second half and the adjustments that Lou always makes, but because last year in the playoff game the Bengals were ahead, and they had the momentum for the entire first half, and then the second half was a lot closer. They had the Hilton interception, but if the Bengals let Tennessee just do their thing, which is play ahead, play action, 5 to 6 yards of play with Derrick Henry, this is troubling because Tennessee's going to do what they do, and that's they're going to attack Joe Burrow like they did last year. And
Right. They got 9 sacks last year.
Yeah.
They got 9 sacks in the playoff game, but we have a different line. The line's playing better, but I 100% agree with you that we need to set up the run with the pass. We need to pass. We need to pass often. The good news is we should have Chase back, so he'll help us stretch the field. We've already seen what Boyd and Higgins can do. And obviously, Michael Thomas was cut earlier this week, and Irwin was given the roster spot. Now, I know the cut actually brought in Prince. The actual swap on the roster was Prince to bring in some line depth, but Michael Thomas's backup job as a wide receiver was given to Irwin, and rightfully so. I think that's an upgrade, and I think we'll see Irwin hustle. Did you see the play where Michael Thomas did not come back to the ball and he was undercut by the Pittsburgh defensive lineman? That's one of the reasons why I think he was cut. I mean, that's just not hustle. Standing there waiting for the ball to come to you and letting the DB on your back jump in front of you. I think that was the end of Mike Thomas.
I said something to Riley about that, and NFL Ticket. It's hard to figure out how to rewind and everything else on my television, but I tried to figure out how to go back and look at that. I thought that's what I saw, and now that you're saying it, I absolutely saw that.
Yeah, if you want to go to Joe Goodberry on Twitter, actually has the play up and it shows it, and like I said, it's just lack of hustle. So I think there's probably other things, and that was just the final straw. But I think it's an upgrade with Irwin from Thomas in terms of hustle and in terms of desire. I think we get an upgrade there, and I think we're going to see him play this week, obviously in a backup role. But with Chase back, we've got all our weapons there in the air, and Hayden Hurst is somebody we didn't have, last year, and he's a guy we can dump a short pass to, and he'll run through you, which Uzomah won't do. So
Hurst is the man. I love everything about Hurst. That was a signing that I absolutely loved. But I will say in the future tense that the Bengals are going to need to draft a receiver pretty early. Maybe not day one early, but they're going to need a guy this offseason, because I think we now saw how one injury to any of the big three. Like, I know obviously losing Jamar is the worst because of what he does just for the running, for everything. But losing any one of those three guys really tests the depth that the Bengals have in that receiver room, or lack thereof, really.
Right. And if we do, I think we need somebody with speed.
Sure.
So, and a lot of it's going to hinge on whether or not we're able to re-sign T. So, because otherwise you may need to.
That's another issue. Based on the way the league is working, they could very well trade T. Higgins this offseason, and I that would suck. That would suck.
Well, here's the real question: will Joe take a very team-friendly deal and backload it, or ownership, whatever you want to do?
Maybe he's not taking a pay cut, but maybe they might get a backloaded deal because of what T and Jamar do for Joe, and they're a big reason for his success. And obviously Joe is Joe, but Joe is a top 4 quarterback in this league.
Yes.
Hold on a second. I'm not suggesting that he deserves less money. I'm suggesting that if he wants, let's look at Kansas City. Kansas City is not the same team that they were a couple years ago before Mahomes signed his massive contract. I mean, you look at Russell Wilson, you look at these guys getting 40 plus, and you can't put it. It's hard to put as much talent around them. The question is, does an Ohio boy want to stay in Ohio near mom and dad and play? I'm not suggesting that he doesn't deserve it. He probably deserves to be a top 3 paid quarterback.
Well, yeah, I mean, he absolutely does want to stay. That's not like the Bengals are going to re-sign Joe Burrow. That's just
I mean, he's the face of the team for the next 10 years.
No. I meant for the money. I'm sorry. Right. I'm not suggesting that he's going anywhere. I mean, the question is, does he want to take a less money to surround himself with some serious talent still.
The question is,
Right.
is he the Tom Brady mentality where he takes less money so Julian Edelman stays on the team? But he expects the team to spend that money on him. He was very upset when Wes Welker wasn't re-signed, but when the starting salaries for quarterback was $20 million, Brady was making 15, 16. And he didn't care that he was making, $5 million less than the top paid quarterback. It was more important to him that you put the pieces around him. So Gronk got paid, Aaron Hernandez got paid, Edelman got paid, and you keep the pieces around him. So
hey, hold on, let's be very clear about something. Brady was able to do that because his wife was making a fortune. She's on the free agent market now too.
Well, yeah.
So
his wife was making
maybe Joe can,
his wife was making a fortune, but 16 million is still more than $1 million a month.
Let's move on to Tennessee.
Yeah, let's get back to Tennessee. We did digress. We apologize. So those are things. The D bothers me. Vrabel bothers me. And the last thing I have that really bothers me is we beat this team last year. They were the number 1 seed. We went in. We knocked them off in their house. I know they say last year is last year, but this is on their brain. They want payback. So this is going to be a hard-fought game, and it's a game we need. This is a game we need. We got the Bills and the Chiefs coming up right after this. So this is a game we would like to get. And it's a winnable game.
Oh, of course it's a win. There's not a game that the Bengals will play for the next 5 years. It's not winnable.
Right.
I will say, yeah, of course it's winnable. Something that I'm not really excited about is Jeffrey Simmons, but they asked Jeffrey Simmons, is this a revenge game? And he made a good point that, half this Tennessee roster wasn't on the team last year. They've kind of reshaped this roster this offseason,
right,
with, losing AJ Brown and, freeing up the money to get some more consistency on the defensive side of the ball. And he responded with, he went to the locker room and he asked every person who was there last year for that game to raise their hand, and not many people did raise their hand. So he's like, we're moving forward. This is a new year. We want to win the game because it's a must-win game for us. We want to win the game. I think that's kind of BS because I think it's going to be a little hard to look at Ryan Tannehill and have him throwing 3 interceptions in that playoff game, and him to not get up a little extra excited for this game to get back at that defense. So I don't know. He threw a pick to Mike Hilton, threw a pick to Logan Wilson, he threw a pick to Jesse Bates. All 3 of those players are going to be on the field on Sunday.
Yeah, well, let's use what you just said with AJ Brown not being there and transition to the good, because that's one of the things I'm feeling good about. No AJ Brown this year. We had to face him last year, and he was obviously their big playmaker as a wide receiver. And then the other thing is no Landry. He's hurt. He's out. He was out for the season. So we don't have Landry. So it's a shorter team. And then you have D'Amico Ryan, who's D'Amico Autry, who's kind of the. Yeah, and he didn't practice.
Yeah, so Autry is a very good player. He is a very underrated pass rusher. Also very good against. Well, he excels against the run. Spent time with Indy, and it was surprising when he signed with Tennessee because Indy tried to re-sign him, and then he went in the division. So it was really strange, but the Titans really like him, and he's really good. It doesn't seem like he's going to play after the Thursday night game. But yeah, Mike Vrabel said he expects Autry to miss some time, so I doubt he plays in this game. But another thing that I don't dislike, I guess, is Tennessee's kind of had their mini bye week. They get an extra bye.
Yeah,
they're coming off of a Thursday night game, and the Bengals are coming off of a road divisional game that was ugly. So not certainly a particularly great spot for the Bengals, but not the end of the world. I mean,
yeah, it's a few extra days. But I do agree. I would rather have the longer time than be facing the team that had it. But the personnel we're facing, I think last year's Tennessee team was a better team. So, point being, like I said, you had a healthy Landry who's a factor, and he got hurt in preseason and has been out the whole year. So we don't have to face him, and his replacement we don't have to face, most likely. So. And no AJ Brown. So I think that's in our favor. Obviously, we don't have a Wouzier, which we had last year, so maybe that washes with the AJ Brown. But of the next 3 games, this is the most winnable game, even though it's on the road, because the Chiefs and the Bills are not going to be. I mean, you're facing 2 quarterbacks that are head and shoulders above Ryan Tannehill.
We don't play the Bills
Josh
till week
Allen and
16.
Patrick Mahomes.
Wait.
So this is a game we want to get.
We don't play the Bills till week 17. We have Chiefs and then Browns.
Browns, okay.
On tap. Yeah, we get Cleveland at home, which is honestly probably our easiest game left on the schedule. It's Cleveland at home.
Yeah, and that's definitely one where they better come out ready to play this time.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they will. I thought that Burrow would get the monkey off his back on this last Cleveland game, but he'll do it this year at home. But
he's got to. He's got to beat him eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
but, yeah, there's not a whole lot of talent on the Tennessee offense. They have a terrible play caller who got arrested for a DUI. I mean, Todd Downing's a bum. I'm just gonna say that.
Go ahead, say it.
They have a terrible play caller. They have a below average quarterback, but they have Derrick Henry. That's always going to be a threat. And he wasn't a threat last year, even though I think he finished with like 85 yards, a touchdown. But they stuffed Derrick Henry a couple times. The mecca was when they stuffed him on 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, on their own side of the field, which was really clutch for the result of that playoff game.
And luckily we got DJ back. I mean, DJ be in the middle. I mean, we need him to be there.
DJ looked like he was hobbling a little bit on Sunday. So I hope this extra week or this new week will kind of refresh him and he'll be ready to go, because he didn't play a ton of snaps. It was kind of clear he wasn't 100%, but they wanted him back for the divisional game, which made sense and kind of worked out. But he didn't really look like himself. So hopefully we get the real DJ Reader on Sunday, because we've been saying it for 5, 6, 7 weeks since he got injured. This was the game that we wanted him back for,
to shut down Henry.
For Derrick Henry, and here we are 7 weeks later after the injury, and we hope to see real DJ Reader back.
There you go. So, with all that said, is there anything else you want to point out that you're feeling good about, not feeling good about? Anything?
Their offensive line is really bad.
It was good. It's getting old. It's aging, and that's not a good thing for.
Well, they lost their left tackle at the start of the year. They lost Taylor Lewan at the start of the year. He was the backbone of that offensive line. Ben Jones, who's their best lineman right now, their center, is questionable in practice, so he might be out. We'll see. But either way, they've given up a lot of pressure. And something that is just really upsetting is the Bengals cannot get pressure with 4 right now consistently. No. Like, obviously, there's been some big plays that Hubbard and Hendrickson have made, but when you only have 2 pass rushers, it's really unfortunate. And Tennessee's going to run a lot of play action, so DJ Reader is going to be on the field a lot on second downs, in passing situations, because they run the ball a lot on normal passing downs. So DJ Reader is going to need to be on the field. So really, the edge rushers need to step up, and it's a good matchup for them because Tennessee's tackles aren't really any good. So that's something else that we can say is a positive, that having DJ Reader out on the field and passing downs isn't the end of the world.
Right.
Because we need him out there.
Right.
And that's the one thing I was going to say, Jake. You're good way to point it out. I have not heard Hubbard's name in a couple 3 weeks. I mean, Hendrickson was getting to the quarterback, but he was getting there a split second late. But Hubbard really has to step up and give that pressure as well on that other side.
He made a couple plays last week. He and Hendrickson met at Pickett, and one or the other one got hits on him, or pressures, because the pressures are just as important as the hits. I mean, you want him knocked down, you want him pressured, you want him hearing footsteps when he's dropping back there. And if we can rattle Tannehill, I mean, he can be rattled. I want to, let's get the Tannehill that was at Miami his first couple years. So, or the Tannehill we had last year.
Yeah, I mean, the X factor in this game, I think it's not going to come down to Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals, Tennessee loads the box a lot, so they naturally give up a lot of passing yards. But analytically, they have a really good success defensively. Their success rate's very good defensively. But they do give up a lot of passing yards because they kind of sell out to stop the run, so they just naturally give up passing yards. I'm not worried about that. I need to see Brian Callahan. Why am I blanking on the offensive line coach? Oh my God.
Frank Pollock.
Pollock and Callahan. I need to see them come out with a better plan for the Tennessee simulated pressures, because that's what they do. They show they're going to blitz 3 and, oh, here comes 7. They show they're going to blitz 7 and they drop 3 guys back into throwing windows. And that's how they get their pressure. And that's how they're going to need to get pressure with no Autry out there. Obviously no Harold Landry. And that's what Tennessee does best. They run more simulated pressures than anyone else in football. That's what Mike Vrabel has brought to this, front, and what he was doing in New England with Belichick, and he's brought that to Tennessee. So the game plan for those in the divisional round last year was terrible, and pretty much every sack was off some of those simulated pressures. So I need to see a better plan early to stop that. And they have a lot smarter of an offensive line. Jonah's been playing better. Collins has had his 2 best games back-to-back weeks. So, and I think and obviously the interior is a lot better, and that's where they're going to see Jeffrey Simmons. So Karras and Kappa and Volson, they certainly have a interesting matchup against Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, but every name you mentioned just now, Jake, is better than what we had last year. I understand we had Jonah last year too, but Jonah's a better player this year. And you're right. I was highly critical of him when Mark and I were watching the game 3-4 weeks ago. But the last couple of weeks, he's been much better and much more, I would say, much more aggressive.
Jonah was playing. Yeah, he was playing hurt. He got hurt in that Baltimore game, and then it seemed like it was affecting him. And I think now he looks pretty healthy out there.
Yeah, and Collins, we're coming off the last 2 games have been his best games of the year. Last week was he literally took on Watt.
Yeah, and I want to see some more consistency throughout the game with landing with La'el Collins. There's way too many times he just goes invisible for 2 drives, and that can't happen with the tackle. He can't be non-existent, and that's kind of what he's done a couple of times this year. So I want to see more consistency from him. I don't need to see Pro Bowl La'el Collins. I mean, they're paying him $9 million a year. They're not paying him to be a Pro Bowler, but would like to see more consistency for sure.
You almost wonder if that back is finally healed. We know that was affecting him early in the season, and
yeah, it affected him a lot.
And both of you were right in your comments, but I think you might finally see a healthy La'el Collins, and when he's healthy, we all know what he can do. So it's nice to have him on that right side. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean that's what all Bengals fans were excited for when he the first before he even signed. It was when he came into the building and he was walking around in Cincinnati, everybody was so excited. He was here's Burrow's new bodyguard, and Collins is a Pro Bowler. He's an All-Pro at his best, and we haven't really gotten that yet.
All right. Well, with that said, and it'll tell me what you think is going to play out by your score predictions. Give me some predictions. I've got mine, but I don't want to tip my hand yet.
So I bet Bengals money line this morning when Chase came back. I think that's going to be the difference maker. I think they're going to put up 30. Okay. Just because of I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I was like, what's stopping the Bengals from scoring 35 a game when Chase comes back? Because they are absolutely rolling. I mean, balls out on time, progressions, kind of the run game, but protections, play calling, they're all clicking. And I get this is a tough spot on the road, but this team's so battle tested, man. I mean, through it all, the last 2 years, they've dealt with a lot of shit. And I don't think this is anything for them that they can't handle. So I think they put up 30. I know that's kind of an X factor that the Bengals fans have talked about the last couple of years, is them consistently scoring 30 points and scoring in bunches consistently throughout the course of a game. And I think that they did it on Sunday against Pittsburgh, and they'll do it against a similar defense that has problems in the secondary, an all-pro safety, and a lot of pass rushers. Tennessee's defense is very similar to Pittsburgh's. It's a bit more talented, better coached, but it's very similar. And they're going to go on the road, and I think they're going to pick them apart. So yeah. I have the Bengals 30-23.
Okay, Heath, you want to do yours? You want me to do mine?
I'm not a gambling guy, but I will make one comment to Jake's point. I like having P. Ryan back there because he does block well, and he'll slip out of the backfield and be able to catch, and it gives you another receiver to attack. So I like him blocking on the pass rush, and I like him leaking out. So That's just the one thing I'll say. I don't gamble. I don't pay attention to the line, to be quite frank with you.
Well, I do gamble and I do pay attention to the lines. I like the Bengals. I love the Bengals money line. I've teased them. I've got them plus 5.5 before Chase came back. The line was 4.5 on the teaser. I'm all over this game. This is, if the Bengals don't win, I'll be wrecked, money wise this week on bets. But I love them. And I agree with you, Jake. I've got them scoring. I had 34-20. So I think that we light it up. I think that we get the key play for me last week was that third down pass to Boyd when we were inside our 5. I mean, that was such a clutch play. And I just think that we're going to get some really clutch plays. I think Bro gets rid of the ball quick. I'm counting on Callahan and Pollock to come up with plays and stretch the field with Chase gone. And like I said, if we get up big on this team, they can't come back. They're not built to come back. That's just not how Vrabel needs to win close, ugly games. That's how he wins. We get ahead of this team, we can put them away.
And that's exactly why they cannot come out with the expectation that they're going to out ugly Tennessee.
Right.
It should not be an ugly performance from Cincinnati. They're more talented.
Yeah.
They're more talented at the positions that are really important.
Yeah. Play to your strengths. So, and we can win the game. Like I said, that's our winning matchup right there. But we will need to try to run the ball so play action does work. But like I said, set up the run with the pass. Pass first, and it'll set up the run. So that's what I expect to see. All right, so there you have it. Hey, guys, put your score predictions down and what you think in the comments. Please subscribe if you don't subscribe. It's all we ask. And check out Jake's podcast. He does a couple podcasts a week. He does one on gambling. Once again, remind them where they can find your stuff, Jake.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Circus for most of my Bengals stuff goes. And then on Spotify, the Jake Circus podcast.
All right, and then we'll be back with the recap right after the game. Try to get the 3 of us. It's a fluid situation. It's a holiday weekend, but that's the plan. We will get up a recap right after the game. And
happy Thanksgiving to all of you too.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. You got a great slate of games tomorrow, by the way. So enjoy the NFL tomorrow while you're stuffing your face and doing whatever your Thanksgiving traditions are.
Yep. What I didn't tell either one of you, I just found out the other day, my daughter is actually going to the Cowboys game. She lives in Dallas now. So I thought she was going home with her roommate at school, and she's not. She's going to the game with her other roommate. So she'll be at the game watching the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, great slate of games. You can root against the Bills. I don't think that they lose in Detroit, but, hey, stranger things can happen. But have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll be back right afterwards. And hopefully it's another Bengal win and we're blowing the victory horn. Oh, somebody commented that they wanted me to upgrade the victory horn. We'll look into something at the end of the year. This one's kind of traditional. It's just a cheap, New Year's Eve thing, but we'll maybe look to upgrade it. Somebody was saying our wins deserve more than that victory horn. So we'll work on that. We'll work on that for next year.
As long as we can keep blowing.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm okay with it for now.
We want that out every week. Come on. So we can.
Boys, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families too.
Yeah, you guys take care. So with that, I'm going to say, hoo day, everybody.
Hoo day.
Happy Thanksgiving. Take care.